Hello, I am your host, Kathy Chester, and welcome to the Move It or Lose It podcast, a podcast about all things that move the mind, body, and soul. The Move It or Lose It podcast is for information, awareness, and inspirational purposes only. I am not a doctor, and I don't even play one on TV, so please consult your doctor before making any medical decisions. The views expressed by advertisers, guests, or contributors are their opinions and not necessarily the views of the Move It or Lose It podcast. Hello, welcome to another edition of Move It or Lose It. Today, I'm really excited to be with someone who is very inspiring, and I got to be on her podcast a little bit ago, and now she's on mine. So, welcome, Maddi. I'm going to get this right, Maddi Niebanck, correct?
Yes, yeah, you got
Yeah,
it.
did it right. So anybody who's seen my podcast knows that I very rarely get names correct, but I did it. So Mandy, I'm so excited to be with you today because you have one of the most inspiring stories, and I love your. I was reading today, and I just thought how similar we are, and I think that's why we get along well because we have such similar outlooks on positivity and the things that we don't just get news and say, well, it is what it is. I'm just going to sit back and, just take my life and just lay down and let it happen. So I loved that so much. And we both know Ethan from Post. And so he kind of put us together and he kept telling me how much I was going to love you. And so when I met you, he got really excited and said, what did you think? I'm like, well, you were exactly right. I adore her. So it was quick. So there's so many things I want to touch on and reading, and it was kind of cool because I got to write it out. So my printer didn't work, but it was good because writing things out just really helped me get to know you even more. And I really want you to share your story and what you're doing now because I just think it's so neat, and I love after something traumatic happens to us, and we can go one or two ways, and one can be where we just really get into a pity party, and we all get into that grief, and I think that's important that we grieve what's happening, but some of us stay in that and we don't move past it. But you chose to do some really neat things with yours afterwards. And so I want to get into that. But first, let's talk about what happened in the beginning. So you suffered from, okay, here we're going to go, from a massive stroke and in 2017. And that nearly took your life. And how old were you when that stroke happened?
I was 22. It was 10 days after I graduated college.
Wow. Wow. So here you are thinking, here I go. And then boom. So everything changed.
Mhm.
Um, Completely paralyzed on the left side. So I can only imagine with multiple sclerosis that happened to me. And so I understand from that perspective what it's like to not know, am I getting this back? Is it ever going
It's
to
my
work
dominant
again?
side.
Me too. I'm left
Yep.
handed. And so um, that's a scary, scary thing. And so you took that and you went into extensive therapy, quite a few things, not only just physical, but you went into cognitive for speech. You went into not only that, you went into physical therapy. You went into, you had occupational therapy, rehabilitation therapy, and realized really, really just what we take for granted, in that time. And I can absolutely relate to that. And so talk to us about the therapy and how hard that was.
Well, yeah, it was really challenging. So, like you mentioned, I had a stroke. I was actually in the hospital awaiting a scheduled brain surgery because I had
Mm,
a malformation in my brain.
okay.
However, the preoperative procedure caused a blood clot which burst. So I'm in the
Okay.
hospital, and that's when I end up having this huge hemorrhagic stroke. I'm rushed into an emergency surgery. Thankfully, the neurosurgeon is able to stop the bleeding and remove it's called an AVM, was able to remove
Okay.
the AVM. But when I woke up from the operation and a medically induced coma, I was completely paralyzed on my left side, like you
Wow.
mentioned. So literally, I couldn't move anything, and that extends to my arm and leg, but not even that. The left side of my face, I couldn't speak or swallow. And I also lost all of the left-sided vision out of both of my eyes. So I don't have any
Wow.
peripheral vision on my left side either. out of either of my eyes, which is probably, in my opinion, the hardest thing that I've had to
Wow.
learn to adjust to.
Yeah. So right now your vision is where?
I mean, I have central vision, so I can see
Uh,
straight ahead, and I can have peripheral on the right side, but I have nothing. Like, literally, my vision stops right at the center. There's just
okay.
nothing
Yeah.
peripherally anymore, so it makes it hard. Like, I
Yeah.
live in Manhattan, and, like, walking down the busy streets of New York City,
Right.
people cutting across and stuff, like, it's not uncommon for me to get run into, which and then people
Oh,
get mad and
jeez.
they're like, "It's your fault," and I'm
Right.
like, "No, literally, I couldn't see, and you swooped right in front of me super quick," so
Wow. Oh, Mandy, I can't believe because I have the left side, but I can't see out of the right eye.
Oh,
So,
just out of your
um,
right eye.
yeah, it's just my right eye that the optic neuritis never left. So I
Mhm.
just can't see out of the right eye. But it is, you're right. It's like you get used to it, but it's like you can't judge depth and stuff like that. So it's like, I'm sorry, like I didn't see you.
Exactly,
So
yeah, and, like, people don't realize or know, so that's probably the hardest thing, but yes, I've
yeah,
gone through I was in a wheelchair, then I started to walk with the cane, and then because I'm, like, quite stubborn, Kathy, I
yeah,
told my PT when I was going in therapy, like, "I have my follow-up with my neurosurgeon." This was, like, a few months after the stroke happened,
uh,
and I told him, "I'm going to walk into that doctor's office without my cane." And he was like, "Okay, great. Let's find a way to make this happen."
right.
So, I worked really hard. I was
Yeah,
able to do it. I was able to graduate from my cane, but I do have foot drop. So
okay,
because I have foot drop now, like I do need some form of like brace. So I used to have
sure.
an AFO,
Uh,
which I personally hated. But then, I learned of like other FES, like functional
yeah,
electrical stimulation devices.
yeah,
So I use those. I have both a Bioness L300 Go and I also have the Cionic neural sleeve.
yeah,
So these have been huge in helping me improve my mobility and enable
sure,
me like I travel a lot. I live independently. I don't live with anyone. So, it's just me. So I have to be able to get around and do things on my own. And like I said, I love to travel. So that too. But
yeah,
having braces like that really helped me to be
sure.
do all of these things.
Yeah. How scary was it for you when you woke up? Like when did you know it was a stroke?
Honestly, just when the doctor came in and told me what happened,
Yeah.
I had no idea. To be honest, Kathy, I thought that strokes only happened to older people. I
Right,
I
right.
didn't even really have a good idea of what a stroke was. So they had to
Yeah,
like, explain, you developed a blood clot, it ruptured.
right.
So like you almost died. We had to give you 7 liters of blood transfusion, which I think is more blood than the body even contains in
Right.
it, so it was
Right.
sad. I later found
Yeah.
out from my neurosurgeon, he's done thousands and thousands of this very specific type of brain surgery, an AVM1, like tens and, I wanna say, like, over tens of thousands, and he's
Wow.
one of the best in this field of neurosurgery. And he told me that my brain surgery was the second hardest one he's ever done.
Really? Oh my
I was like, "Oh my
gosh.
god, not exactly the claim to fame I want, but"
No, no, exactly. I mean, really amazing. I mean, I would have thought the same thing is I would have been like a stroke. What? Like that's for old people. That's not for. I mean,
Right?
I remember getting
Oh,
when I got
yeah.
diagnosed with MS, I was like, wait, that's like a nephew Funicello has. That's for
Yeah,
old people. Why do I have this? So it
exactly,
is
exactly.
when rare things like that happen, you're like, wait, what? I can't have that. So how did you deal with that news? What did that feel like getting diagnosed? Did you immediately feel like I want to fight this, or were you just like, I don't even understand what to do with this?
Yeah, for a while, I was definitely more in denial.
Yeah,
You go through those feelings, and maybe this happened to you too, but like the feelings of, why did this happen to me? I didn't do anything to
sure.
deserve this. I was just a kid. I graduated from
Yeah,
college. I was getting ready to move up to Boston and launch my career. And, I
yeah.
had a lot to look forward to. And then all
What
of a
did you want to do?
I had gotten a job lined up in technology sales, and it
Okay,
was not something I was particularly passionate about, but it was one of those things like, when I was nearing the end of my college time, I went to Georgetown in
okay,
Washington, DC. I like started to look for a job and it was just like an opportunity that came up and I interviewed and I was like, okay, well, like, why not? I don't need to know
sure.
exactly what I want to spend the rest of my life doing, but
Right.
the job. So
Yeah.
what's interesting is that obviously I couldn't start this job right after the stroke happened because I had to
Right.
go through my rehab and be able to learn how to get back to doing the things that I had once taken for granted. But
Right.
what's interesting is I had a conversation with one of my favorite professors from
Uh,
college soon after this happened, and I was telling him, "Eric, I feel really left out because all of my friends have graduated from Georgetown, like me. They moved to the
sure.
city, they launched their careers, and that should be me. And instead, I'm stuck day in and day out doing occupational, physical, cognitive skills,
Right.
all this dumb stuff that I feel like, why do I have to learn how to do this again? This is so stupid."
Sure.
And he said, "Maddie, I challenge you to view this as an opportunity, right? Like you got a job and you weren't particularly passionate about the job you
Right.
had gotten upon graduation. So why don't you take this time to really delve deep into what your interests are, see
Yeah.
if maybe you can find a way to turn this into something good and figure out what's
Yeah.
important to you." And so that's what I did. I
Yeah.
decided I had always wanted to be in fashion. I'd always been
Okay.
like very, very intrigued by the fashion industry, but I had never worked a retail job. I'd never worked in the industry or done anything, so I was like, "Who would ever hire me?" So my
Right.
professor was like, "Just start talking to people." So
Interesting.
I started interviewing people. Like, I started with, like, friends or, asking my friends, "Do you have anyone that you can connect me to?" So I interviewed everyone from, like, small business owners to fashion executives to editors of fashion magazines to models. Like, I spoke
Wow.
all different types of people, and then I ended up weaving in the common threads amongst those conversations and writing my first book, Fashion
Okay.
Forward: How Today's Culture Shapes Tomorrow's Fashion. And why that's relevant to this conversation we're having right now is because in that first book, I
Hmm.
wove in anecdotes of how I was using the act of writing a book, of interviewing people, of organizing my thoughts, of writing and editing, how
Yeah.
I wove in anecdotes of how I was using that as a tool in my cognitive rehabilitation to
Very
help
good.
me recover. Because
That's very smart.
I hated going to therapy and, like, it just felt dumb.
Yeah.
But I have this project, like, I'm writing
Right.
a book. Yes, I needed to learn in the beginning, I couldn't hold a conversation for longer than, like, 2 minutes before I got
Yeah.
too fatigued. So working on this project was a really great practical way
Yeah.
for me to work on those cognitive skills and help me to get better without it seeming like going into therapy.
Yeah. That's so intelligent to do that. That's such a great idea because so many of us struggle with cognitive things. And, we'll not sure what to do. Like I'll play Wordle with like different clients and stuff like that. But, I know that we talked about writing a book, and I know that I want to do that. I've been asked to do that. And I think, oh, cognitively, geez, I don't know. But that's a
It's a
great
lot, but
way
it's
to,
so
yeah,
good.
it's really smart. I mean, it's a really good idea to kind of put your thoughts together and not take on, would you agree, not taking on too much and not just trying to like go for like a huge amount of writing a book, but more like little bits at a time. I cannot tell you how excited I am to announce my partnership with Foot Scientific. Their Elevate 360 drop foot solution is amazing. It's lightweight. It has customized sizing, which is amazing. I've been in braces where they are much too big and bulky. This one has memory foam. It's comfortable. I have walked my dog. I have run with it already. I have danced in it, and it is amazing. It has stainless steel anchors, which you can wear them in any shoe you want to. But to be able to have them connect to your laces so that you can lift the foot so that the drop foot isn't so bad and know that they're safe in there is so incredible. To be able to have this, to be able to have it on your ankle and then attach it to a tennis shoe, to attach it to a heel, actually, or a sandal is absolutely amazing. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be a part and partner up with Foot Scientific. They are truly here to meet our needs. So I encourage you to go on to the website at footscientific.com, check them out, and of course, use my discount code. It is MS Disrupted, all caps 30, and you'll get $30 off your pair. And also, don't forget 60-day guarantee. If it doesn't work for you, then you can return it. And that is why I love Foot Scientific. They're a company that truly cares about our needs. So don't forget, check them out. I love my partnership with them. Have a great day.
So the way that I approached it, and I think this is a really good way to do it, is I went into it not really with the topic. I was like, I'm just going to start talking to people. Let me
Okay.
document these conversations. And
Yeah.
after I spoke to enough people, I was like, what do all of these stories have in common?
Yeah.
That was,
That's
like, kind of
awesome.
how I chose it. And when
Yeah.
I wrote my second book, that was about my stroke recovery and channeling a positive mindset to enhance your outcomes, it was similar. I was like, I'm just gonna set out, start talking to survivors, and see if we
Yeah.
have any commonalities.
Right. I love that. So now are these books, are they on audio books as well or no?
And not no, I haven't made them on audio, just, paperback and, digital for now,
I always
ebook.
ask that because I can't see them. So I was
Yeah.
on audio now.
I
So
know, I need to make it into an audiobook, and that's something I've been wanting to do for a while, but, right now I just have a lot going on, so I haven't
yeah, I know you're a very busy woman. So I love that. So I love the way you just kind of tackled that. I love that because, obviously it just reminds me a lot of what I did. And so I really love that you did that. And so, okay, you're getting through the stroke. You're still, how long did it take before? Well, we'll go back to that. So I want to talk to you about like the therapy. And did you feel frustrated in so much of the therapy that you were in? Did you feel like, okay, I'm feeling stronger? Or did you have times where you're just like, so we talked a little bit about that, but did you have time where you're just like, I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore?
Definitely, yeah, I would get really frustrated, and sometimes, especially, like, after I hit the major milestones,
Yeah.
learning how to walk with the cane, learning how to walk without the cane, once I hit, like, the bigger milestones, it became harder for
Yeah.
me to see the progress and notice
Okay.
that I was making any advancements. So, that's why I love to document my journey. I love to
Yeah.
take videos and stuff so I can look back over time and be like, "Oh, hey, look, like, a year ago you couldn't do this, and look, now you're
Right.
so much better." So, I
Yeah.
think by documenting, it's easier to be able to see over
Yeah.
time the gains that we don't notice in the day to day.
Right, right. And we talked about that before that it's easy to see the negative, right? It's easy to kind of hold on to that rather than seeing the positive. So I love that you did that and that you still do that because it's like I talk to my clients, we've got to celebrate those wins. And I love that you did that you did celebrate those wins because it's easy on those days that we're feeling low to say, like, "Oh, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just stuck here." But you documented that so you were able to see, like, okay, I feel low today, but I've come this far. So you were really good at that. And again, that helps you in what you do to help others to say, document it. Don't just, be in it, but document where you're going so you can
Exactly.
see that. So
It's a
that's a
strategy
huge
that's worked for
inspiration.
me.
Yeah, I love that. So you talked about as an author, and I love that you've got two books out now, right? Yeah, which is really, and we'll put them at the bottom of the show notes so that people can see that the books that if they don't know that. You do a lot on social media, um, content creator, speaker, world traveler. So I love that. So when did you feel comfortable? Because I still sometimes feel uncomfortable when I'm traveling. A lot of that I think is cognitive, and but I have been traveling more on my own, so it feels more comfortable. I think the more you do it, the more you feel like, okay, I got this. And so, when did you feel more comfortable traveling on your own?
So I started to me, it was always very important in terms of getting my independence back that I wanted to be able to travel and do all these things again. So I started small, like taking like local trips. Like first it was,
Yeah,
do I know how can I figure out how to take the train by myself? So
yeah,
literally, like when I started my first job after I had the stroke and everything, I ended up working in reinsurance in a town close to where I was living with my parents. And I wanted to be able to commute there by myself, and I can't drive, so that meant I had to take the train. So in the
sure,
morning, my dad would walk with me to the train station because it was a 10-minute walk from their house. And then, we'd practice how can I get the big step up to get onto the train and then get back
sure.
off and take the shuttle from there. So I started small, then it was like, can I learn how to take an Uber by myself, like getting into the
Right.
things like that. And then, at first when I started air travel again, I would travel
Yeah,
with my parents because I wasn't comfortable going by myself. So it would be like if we
sure.
go somewhere together. But, as I started to do it more, I gained
Mm,
confidence. One resource that I'll point out that's been
uh,
helpful to me and is helpful to the stroke community and also the MS community.
uh,
I wrote a blog about this on the Cionic website, so I can send
uh,
you the link to share that as well. But is
that'd
the
be
Hidden
great.
Disabilities Sunflower Program. If you're
Okay.
aware. It's basically the Hidden Disability Sunflower it's like a lanyard that I wear, and I wear it to the airport, and since most
Uh,
airports are part of the program, mine says I have a brain injury, and then it
okay.
has, like, these different icons that indicate I might need extra time walking,
Right.
might need help lifting my luggage, I
Right.
am vision. There's a bunch of different icons that you can put
Yeah.
on, and,
It's a
like,
great idea.
when I was in the airport one time, my brace ran out of battery,
Uh,
and I was, like, hobbling up to the kiosk to check into my flight,
right.
and this guy comes running up to me and he's like, "Ma'am, like, can I get you wheelchair assistance? Like, can I help you?" So it's
Yeah.
really that's been something that's really helpful for me as a person with
Yeah.
disabilities, and it doesn't have to be a visible disability, but I think
That's
it's
what I was
so
gonna
great.
say. I think it's really important because some of us, like, I'll get my foot drop at some point, and sometimes
Mhm.
it doesn't happen right away, and so it looks invisible. So I think that's so important to have because not everybody sees that we are, and it's like, but I need
Exactly.
help. And sometimes I'll be able to walk to, I'll be in the airport and I can get
Mhm.
to my little lot to get to where I need to be, and it's like I got there. Other times I'm like I'm not going to get there, and so I think those things are important because they can see that we need something. So I think that's such a great idea. I love that. I definitely want to put that on the show notes so
Yeah,
we can get people there.
I'll send you that info
That'd be
after.
awesome. Yeah, definitely. I love the passion that you have to be an advocate for this, and I think that that's the big thing that we really they really have in common, but also that we really want others to understand, and we really want to advocate not just for ourselves, but there's something that is in us, and I love that about you that we want to advocate for others so they understand that there's a whole world. There's so many things that we can still do and wanted them to understand that let me help you with some of the things that I've learned, and also let's do this together, and this doesn't mean that it's the end. It means it's a different world, and
Mhm.
let's work on this. Really championing the rehabilitation journey because it is a journey for sure, and
Exactly.
and I love that you do that. The challenges and the positive attitude that you have. I think that's a big thing because we need to have that humor, that positive attitude. Is it every second of every day? No, that'd be silly to say, but having that for you, I think is so attractive and it means so much because it doesn't define everything about us when we're working through those low days. And I think, I try to be really honest that there are going to be those days. But for the most part, that positivity and that outlook that, okay, today wasn't the best day, but I'm determined that tomorrow is going to be different. And I think that that is super helpful. And I see that so much in you. And I love that so much. Um, I love that the obstacles, like we talked about, that professor said to you are opportunities, and that I loved reading that when you said that
That's my
because
motto, obstacles are
yeah,
opportunities.
it's so good, and I love that because we can get so many obstacles right in our
Mhm.
life with the disabilities, and if we can reframe that. And maybe that was a really hard day. And maybe we hit like a bunch of obstacles that day and reframe it that, you know what, today, or maybe that flight, or maybe that whatever we hit were big obstacles. But if we can reframe it that, okay, you know what, this gives me opportunities to either help someone else that is probably going to run into these things, or that I can do something different in an opportunity. What like strength and what independence that gives us to like say, shut up, I can now use this as an opportunity. That's like huge empowerment.
Exactly, no, I mean, and it's not something that happens overnight, right? So, like, it's not like I just woke up from having a stroke and was like, "This is an amazing time for me to, like, turn this into something good." No,
Right.
like, I was
Right.
definitely I think it's important if you get, like, a diagnosis like that or something, I think it's definitely important to take your time like, the proper
For
time to
sure.
grieve or, like, that's okay,
Yeah.
but what I like to say is we don't wanna unpack and stay there, right?
Right.
Like We can feel sorry for ourselves, that's totally fine, but at the end of the day, we can't change what happened to us, so how
Right.
can we change moving forward, how we're going to
Yeah.
respond?
So true. So true. I say that all the time. Grieve it. Don't not grieve it. We have
Yeah.
to, but don't stay there because
Yeah,
that was
don't
called the black hole. Once we go in that black hole, we're stuck there, and that's so hard to get out. So
exactly.
don't stay in the black hole. Like get yourself out because that's a tough place to be. And I
Mhm.
see that you have done so much with that. And the traveling, I'm sure, like we talked about, you didn't start traveling to Spain. That wasn't a first
Correct.
thing, but you started traveling all over, which is so cool. And I love that you do that. And we'll get back to that. But I want to talk about the mindset, the opportunities, and the mission that you have to help others. And that's part of the advocating of the things that you do. But did you immediately want to help others that have trauma? Want to like help them to understand? How did you get into that?
Yeah, not, like, implicitly or, like, immediately. What happened
Mm,
was, after I wrote my first book, I started getting feedback from my readers that they
uh,
really enjoyed the personal anecdotes that I wove into the book, and they were interested to hear more about my own journey going through this major
you
obstacle.
have to make this audio because I want to read it.
I know I do.
I'm going to
Um,
make you read it to me.
I'll just record myself reading it out loud to you.
Yeah,
Um, but so I got a lot of positive feedback from people that they
yeah,
really liked those personal anecdotes, which then
sure.
inspired me to write my second book, which is specifically about the lessons I learned in the first
Right.
it was 3 years of my recovery journey around channeling a positive mindset to help me. And it extends beyond the stroke survivor journey, right? Because there's this broader theme to my book of like, we
Right.
all face obstacles. Maybe you
Yeah.
don't have a stroke. Maybe you don't get diagnosed with MS. Maybe
Right.
you don't have like a major health
Yeah.
barrier, such as that. But we all go through change in our lives. Moving to
Absolutely.
a new town, for example, starting a new job, like, I
Right.
don't know.
Going through divorce.
Going through yeah, exactly, going through a divorce or really there's so many different changes that happen in life.
Absolutely.
So I think the lessons that are in that book can apply broadly to anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. And I really want to read that. I'm very excited about that. And I think that's so important. It's such an important message, especially now. Um, I mean, truly, since through the pandemic and everything, I mean, we've all hit some major changes and
Mm,
some major obstacles through that. Job losses, a lot of relationship loss, things that really have changed our world for forever. And so I think those obstacles, if we don't learn to pivot, we don't learn to understand that those are opportunities for us to change up some things, then we're in trouble. And so I love
exactly.
that that message comes across with you and that you really are able to do that. And I love that part so much. Um, I love that dealing with trauma, that you're building community and stuff, that's really truly your hardest to build that community um, with others that share their stories so that other people get to share their stories and you're able to say, okay, together we all have these stories, like just talked about. We all have these trauma stories. I also love that you you're continuing to pursue your passion and connect disabilities in your role as community, and I love this part, community engagement and advocacy manager at the company, Cionic, which I found you at, and I was so impressed the more reading I did about the company and what it involves and the things that they're so passionate about and what you're doing there. And I was just, as I kept reading and the website, and it was just like, wow, there's companies that you see and people that you see that really you connect with. And really, it's the same mindset and the same heart that you have. And I truly saw that in Kionic. And I was like, oh, this is a great. And then talking to you. For you as the user and the neural sleeve, and you can talk about that in a minute for yourself. And I mean, I love you can see the speaker to firsthand be able to do that. And I think that's a big thing. And that's why I love to talk about some of the things that I use because it gives people hope. And when you have it and when you've got something, and then you can honestly talk from your heart about using it, And I think that makes such a big difference because it really helps people relate to it because it's you're the one using it.
Mhm.
And so, before we go further, talk to me about that and about how you found it and about what it was like when you were able to put it on and use it.
Yeah, so I love the Cionic neural sleeve. It's basically it helps me with my foot drops. It's a full leg brace that stimulates all four major muscles in
Mm,
sequence of your gait cycle. So for me, because I do have foot drop, it definitely helps me to be able to walk better and also takes the cognitive load off of thinking about my foot placement with every step because it kind of
right.
helps me and turns my ankle the correct way. So
Yeah,
I do really love it, and it's amazing because now, yes, as you mentioned, I am the community engagement and advocacy manager at Cionic, and I feel very grateful to be in a position that aligns with not with my personal work as well as advocating for the stroke and disability community. So now I get to do that for my job too, which is
yeah.
incredible.
Introducing the Pulse device. Cutting edge, wearable device, revolutionary, wellness designed to stimulate circulation, reduce harsh pain and tightness, and speed up recovery. The Pulse device uses advanced vibrotactile technology trusted by patients, clinicians, and wellness professionals. Whether you're recovering from an injury, battling a neural condition, or just want to feel the best every day, Pulse helps you recharge so that you can live and feel better. Lightweight, powerful, and easy to use. Experience better performance, better recovery, and a better you. Order now and save $30 using my code MSDisrupted at pulsedevice.com. The Pulse device is your health recharged. You won't be disappointed. Get it now for yourself. I have it. I love it. Go ahead and grab it. I mean, it's really big because when I saw you with it, and also it's not, I see my clients with what looks like a giant ace bandage, all around their legs. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
and they complain about it because they're like, I don't want to do this. And what I love about Cionic is it actually looks like they're sporty, they're different colors. And it makes you feel like, okay, I can go out in this. And I kind of almost look fashionable
Exactly.
and sporty.
Yes. Sleek
So I love
and
that.
fashionable too.
Yeah. And I just challenge her if you go on the website because you need to see these. And I was just fascinated. I was on there forever. I was just like scrolling through, and there's so many cool things that you have in there. And there's just what is your favorite part that you work on that you help others? I mean, obviously a foot drop. It's not just for strokes, but obviously for our MS
Right.
community,
Oh,
which
no,
we
and
deal
we
with all the time.
yeah, we have lots of, users who have
Mhm.
MS, and
Yeah,
you can wear it on just one leg or you can wear them bilaterally. Like, we have a lot of
yeah,
customers who wear it on both legs if,
right.
they have if they need to. So that is
Yeah,
really cool, but my favorite part is I love connecting with the
yeah,
customers and love, like, teaching people about the neural sleeve too and, like, sharing my own journey with it and how it helps our community. So I
sure.
love we have a lot of MS users actually,
Yeah,
so I love meeting with all of them, and I
yeah,
just find it, like, very empowering and inspiring to myself as well to be able to
sure.
connect with all these amazing people and around
Right.
the commonalities of, mobility.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you can give people that hope and inspiration that I have something that's going to help, and I know that when I can help others with things that I'm using, and having a podcast and having doing what I do, when I can use something and they trust me and I can say it works and this is working for me, it's a big thing. So I'm sure for you too to not only be partnering and to be working for this company and to be a huge part of it, but to know that it's working for you and I'm excited to get mine. And to be able to know that and help so many has to be such a big thing for you. Um,
Exactly.
and to be able to travel with it and have that has to feel so good to know that right there is such a big independence. And we know that, right? So that when we are not so afraid of, okay, I'm going to fall, I'm going to keep falling, I'm not going to be able to walk to this. That's a big part of it. And when I'm teaching, I say all the time is that, how bad do you want your independence back? Like this has to be something you want your independence back. And so with these things that companies that are really focused on helping us get our independence, that's one of the things I love about you. And it comes comes like shining through you. I mean, it's just big. It's just, you can tell that that's such a big part of you. Um, Talk to me about having like what it gives that full life. And I love that part of what you talked about. Like, we can either sit back and like live like partially and kind of feel bad, or have this full life. And what does that give in you? And what do you see in others that you get? I'm sure you get a lot of feedback and a lot of letters that people are talking about after they have it and what it's done for them.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, I've been very motivated to regain my independence, and
Mhm.
whether that means working a full-time job, living independently in New York City, which is where I'd always wanted to live, traveling,
Right,
just doing, even dumb things like getting groceries or doing my chores by
right,
myself, and like being able to do that because I don't have to worry about having my foot drop interfere or like having like my
right,
ankle do like weird stuff. It's
right,
and so I'm just very grateful that there's all of these things out there that can help us, not just people with foot drop, but beyond that too, because something like the neural sleeve does help all of your muscles and helps you
right.
retrain and build strength.
Yeah,
So, I see benefits beyond simply like correcting my ankle placement, although for me
yeah,
that is the main one. So
yeah.
that's what I'm happy about. I don't know
I
if
love
any
that too, that it does that, the ankle placement, because it really does. It's like, it's not just one area. If it's you're having foot drop, I can notice immediately that my ankle is shifting weird. So I love that it does that as well. That's a big deal. And when we have one thing, it is connected to other parts of our leg. And so that is
Mhm.
a big deal. And I love that. So when you travel, how did you start traveling to Spain? And you've gone to Vietnam, you've gone to Colombia, you've gone to Bali. So how did that, like when you go there, is that vacation, or do you go there with Sonic, and are you going there to represent the sleeve?
So
What is it?
yeah, for me, it's a little mix of both. Like when went to Bali last year, that was something that was like a group trip that I organized as a creator. So I brought, like I marketed it to my community members and people who are in the disability community. I'm actually,
Uh,
fun fact, I haven't really mentioned this that much publicly yet, but I'm going to be doing another group trip in I think like September of next year.
oh,
Which
that's
is gonna be
awesome.
super exciting, so I can't wait to get that out there and hopefully get some cool people to attend. But I do also travel I'll travel for work. In
Uh,
fact, we're doing an event, a Cionic demo day in Scotts Valley, California, which is near
okay.
Santa Cruz. So if anyone
Okay.
is listening to this
Yeah,
in the
that's cool.
Santa Cruz area, Thursday, June 26th, so in like a week and a half, we're
Uh,
doing a lunch and a demo day at our
that's
facility in
awesome.
Scotts Valley. So
I love
definitely
that.
you can give everyone my email,
Okay. I
and
will
if
do
they
that.
want to attend, they can shoot me an email because definitely looking to get more people, and if they're interested in trying on the neural sleeve, this would be a good
Yeah.
opportunity to come do so. But yeah, so I do travel for fun. Like when I went to Spain earlier this
Yeah.
year and Vietnam. Vietnam, I'm a board member for a
Okay.
nonprofit. That was why I went to
Okay.
Vietnam. And then for this annual board event that we have, and then like Spain was for fun, and then
Yeah.
I went back again for my friend's wedding. Colombia was for fun. And then I've got some stuff coming up also for work and for fun. So it's like a mix of both.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's so great. And what independence that shows that you've been able to do. I love the community part that you're doing that. I'm excited to know more about that as it comes about. I just really love the cheeriness, the excitement about what you do, and the sleeve, and just what that represents, and the independence that that gives. Um, what would you say if you had a moment to talk to someone who's coming out of a stroke or MS, and they're just in that journey, coming out and ready to kind of like start moving again, but they're not able to really see the hopefulness yet? What would be that one conversation, that one thing you would say to them to give them some hope?
I think initially what comes to mind is that I would say, don't give up. This kind of progress does not happen overnight. Like, I know that for a fact. I think of myself when I first started with the neural sleeve. Most of our customers do see an immediate response and it helps them initially. I was not one of those people. It did not I did not see like, it wasn't able to help me right away, but I was persistent, I kept
Yeah.
working with it. I kept meeting with the mobility team and,
Yeah.
now I've got it. It works very well for me, but
Right.
it didn't happen immediately. So I was
Yeah.
not one of those people who saw an immediate response. But yeah, so I think just don't give up. Don't be disheartened or disenchanted
Yeah.
if things that you try don't work immediately, because it doesn't always work that way.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think
I
just,
love that.
keeping with it.
Yeah, because there's so many times that, like, I think that we do that. If it doesn't work, we're like, okay, forget it. It's like,
Exactly.
it's not working, so forget it. I love that because we have to give it some time. It's whether it's a medication or whether it's this, it's not everything works immediately. So that's beautiful. I love that. So I love that. I love having you on. I know we're going to do some work together. So I
Yes,
can't
ma'am.
wait to have you back on and to have some of the things that we're going to collaborate on. And I'm excited about that. And I just am, if you don't know Maddie, you don't know about Cionic, then I encourage you to get on the website and learn some more and really just take some time to read about her, get those books, and just really learn more and more about her and what it is that this company is so amazing and what they represent and what they do for the stroke community, the MS community, and brain injuries in general. So I just really encourage you to learn more about her and this company because I've been so impressed and so excited about it. And so I want you guys to learn more as well. So
Yeah, and
Maddie, you
reach out
have,
to me. I'm happy to
yes,
share more, and I do, like,
yes.
webinars and stuff to teach about it, so
Yeah, I love that too, because that's such an important part is, we get kind of half understanding, but the fact that you do the webinars to teach is really important as well. So, Maddie, I'm excited to have you first on the podcast, and we'll do this again. And so, guys, don't forget to rate and subscribe because that's really important for
yes.
the podcasters to subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. So, we'll have you back, Maddie. Thank you so much for being on today. And I will see you guys soon. So, Maddie, hold on just a second. And love you guys and can't wait to see you back again. I'm Lose or Lose It. Have a great day, you guys. Again,
Thank you, Kathy.
thank you for being on. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Move It or Lose It podcast. It would mean the world to me if you subscribed and left a review. Remember, you can find me on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, and YouTube. New episodes of the Move It or Lose It podcast air every other Wednesday. If you have any suggestions for future guests or topics, please visit my website at www.msdisrupted.com. Until next time.